across Asia. Island in Panama, in Bocas del Toro, the Bocas del Toro archipelago. The sea is incredibly calm today. Look, that is the most chillaxed you're ever going to relaxed out there. The water is absolutely see-through if you well, not from this angle, but if you you want to look down into the water, it's really cool. So yeah, very relaxed start. Does anyone want to guess right in the comments when you guess why I was late? All right, because I don't think anyone's going to get it. So I'll give you a bit of a clue. It's to do with the fact that I'm on an island, and it's to do with the fact that there are certain things that happen on an island that might not happen if you're not on an island, I think. Or maybe an island here in Panama. Or maybe a place in Panama. I don't know. I'm trying to give you hints, but I don't think I'm helping. I really don't think. I don't think I'm helping. But yeah, I'm going to be talking today about the war in Iran. I guess just making absolute arses of themselves. There's people saying they support Trump. There's people saying they support the Ayatollah. They support the regime, even though it recently and I don't know, it puts a lot of things in me. It just seems crazy. It was perfectly normal for the United States of America to just go and invade. At least in the past, they pretended. They presentation and said this is what we're going to do. Invade because and the consequences, right? And they spin it around. The intended consequences. So it's they spin the wheel and it's like, oh, we want to effect regime change. We want the oil. They never normally say that out loud, but they are starting to do that now. We want more territory. We want some of their territory. We want we want to put our man in charge. And so, at least in the past, I know it was a facade. It was around. Oh, I'm live. Hello again. Hi. Hello. Oh. Oh, I'll try and come back. I'll try and come back to you momentarily. There we go. Sorry, everyone who was waiting for me to say something there. Maybe you missed all that I said. I don't know. I was Van. Have you just been looking at a circle thing for the last 4 minutes? Really sorry. I had a VPN on my phone from yesterday, and I forgot it was still on. Thanks for that, Nord. Hi, Alex. Hello. Morning, Graham. Says North Wales. Hello. This is just showing things. It's many things. Hey, Alex. Hello, Shropshire. Says Martin. Sorry, still feels like I'm addressing a whole country. I hope you're all good. Just loading the car for a top run. So just listening. That's okay. Is this going through on the old podcast? Can you get this on YouTube Music? Can you? If you can, let me know in the chat. Anyway, so at the start of the show, which you might have missed, I did pose a question to people watching. If you can see me, if you can hear me, I don't know. Nothing in the chat is being particularly related to what I'm saying. Bit worried about that. But I asked the question of why I was nearly late getting started. Why I was actually late getting started was because I was actually thought I was streaming, and obviously YouTube was just playing with me, like a cat with a dead mouse. But I was nearly late because of something that happened in the house that made it so I had to spend a few minutes doing something, which was a bit unusual, a thing that I never have to do in the UK. So that's your clue. I had to do something that I never have to do in the UK. Am I going to make it worse for myself now? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to adjust my level here because it's not freaking level. Is that okay? Is that better? No, it still looks a bit off. Still looks a bit off, man. Do you know what it is? I think it's because I don't know. It's because I'm losing my mind. There you go. That's a bit better. Is that a bit more straight? No, I'm looking at the horizon. It's not particularly straight. It's doing me head. It's doing me head in there. Ah, there we go. There we go. I think that's better. Graham adjusts his tripod for half an hour. Yay, what a show! What a show! What an entertaining mess of a show. Oh, do you know what? I didn't bring my super chat bit of wood. I knew I forgot something. Hi, Martin. Spell check, says Martin Harrow. I don't know what to do now. I don't know if you can see me. I don't know if you can hear me. I may just swing on my hammock for a little bit, drinking me coffee. I had a dream. There were ants in my coffee. Or better check, actually, in case there are. I'll be checking my ants. Checking my coffee for ants. No ants. No ants today. The ants have gone away. Good. No ants in your pants or in your coffee. Or anywhere, really. They can live in a big ant house. Can see and hear you. Oh, thank you, Diz. Thank you. Thank you. God. I was getting really worried then. I was like, am I just talking? Did anyone hear what I was saying about Iran? Did anyone hear what I was talking about in the olden days? You used to at least pretend to have a justification for war. Did anyone see that bit that I was talking about? Did anyone see that? Did anyone? And now they just go in. They're just 12. They just go, I want to see things blow up. We're going to get regime change. The Israelis told us to do it. We need the oil. They looked at us funny. Yeah. Saw a video yesterday from a TikToker that I follow, who is a fellow Jinja Scouser. And I do like her videos, right? And she did one where she was saying about how difficult it is to go for a piss. When you go in somewhere and you say, can I go and have a piss, please? And they say, no, paying customers only. And how shitty that is. And I was like, yeah, that is shitty. And I don't want to be that guy, but I did have to say, but also nowhere near as shitty as it is for trans people right now trying to go to the fucking toilet because everyone's a fucking Karen who wants to say, no, can't use that toilet. You might attack me. And I'm like, yeah, it's hard enough to use public toilets anyway. There's hardly any public toilets, really, if you think about it. Wherever there's no public toilets in town anymore. The public toilets under St John's Gardens got bricked up after Sir Alec Guinness got caught in there noshing off a fellow actor in 1946. And so, these places where you used to be able to go for a piss in the privacy of a cubicle, you can't go into anymore, and no one can. And so you got to find a cafe. You've got to find a McDonald's. Go for a McPiss. Go to a Weatherspoons. Go for a weather shit. It's the only thing they're useful for, really. And it's just our government's just like made it an extra level more difficult for people who are trans. Like, why did they do that? Like, what? There's no moral justification for it, which is, for most of us that's all that matters. But like, just from a political point of view, it's a stupid thing they could do. Doesn't win them any votes, just loses them votes. Just loses them votes. On the plus side, Ian Huntley died. Oh, Ian Huntley carked it. He was shanked in jail, wasn't he? He had a good shanking, and he was in Aussie. So Ian Huntley, yeah, he's brown bread. Ian Watkins, brown bread. Don't call your kid Ian. That's all I can say to any Ians out there who might be tempted to call their kid Ian. Poor old H from Steps had to change his name to H. Otherwise, people would go, mate, you got the wrong Ian Watkins. But yeah, I will not shed a tear for a child murderer. A guy who got a job in a school because there was no checks to see if there were any accusations been made against this guy about his conduct with children. That was shared between the different constabularies. So really, he is the fact that those girls were murdered, the Soham girls, was mostly because of fucking Ian Huntley, because he's a monster. But it might not have happened had the procedures been in place to stop monsters from working in schools. But here's the thing, right? When I was growing up, right? These monsters who rape children and murder children, they weren't called rapists. They still aren't in some circles. They're called like, they give them euphemisms. They say, oh, they're a kiddie fiddler, which is like awful. Like no, that's like fucking, to me, that's like ethnic cleansing. That's like, you know, when they say we had a spontaneous decoupling or something. You know, when they try and make some kind of mealy mouthed term to shield the true horror of the situation and go, this is the term that you should use. And you're like, really? That's the term. That's the term you're going for. That's the cleansing, kiddie fiddling. And there was always the thing when I was growing up, and I was a kid in the 1980s, when, you know, it seems now looking back that paedophilia even, fucking not a yank, paedophilia was absolutely rampant. And I feel very lucky that I was not affected by that directly or indirectly growing up. But I think that was luck more than anything. Also, I was Jinja, so, you know, who would want that? But yeah, the fact that in that kind of era, and it wasn't until the 90s really that people started taking it seriously as like a seriously fucked up crime. And it still pisses me off to this day that there are victims in America who never got justice for the crimes committed against them as children. Because of this, the Catholic Church lobbied the American government to put in a statute of limitations on sex crimes against children, the rape of children, the molestation of children. I think that's just fucking horrific. And I really do think, like, I would go so far on this. So I'm a stepdad, right? I would not mind there being, I know there's a law, I've forgotten what it's called, it's something like someone's law, it's a name of someone, it's the law. And I think you can look up your partner to see if they've been accused or they've been convicted or whatever of sexual crimes in the past or domestic violence. I think that exists at the moment. But I don't think enough people know about it. And I don't think it's standard, right? I think it should be standard when you get into a new relationship, especially when there's kids involved, especially 100% when there's kids involved. There should just be a standard background check. And, you know, like, if you go for a job in a school, or even if you want to go away on a scout camp with the kids, right? You know, sometimes let the parents come on the scout. You have to go and get a DBS certificate, you know, what does the DBS stand for? Disclosure and Barring Services? I don't know, it's basically to say whether you got a criminal record or not, right? And that's perfectly normal. So certain jobs, you need to show that. If I wanted to get my residency here in Panama, I had to do that. I had to go and get that check. And that was just standard. I would like to see a cultural shift where it's just normal. Because too many men get all butthurt and like, oh my God, I can't believe my new partner looked me up on the internet to find out what I've been up to in the past. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course they will. Because they will. Especially if they've got kids. Especially if they've got fucking kids. You know, I'm not being funny. Like, this is a serious issue. And the people who are most likely to abuse children are people who are in the family, who live with them. So, yeah, put in the fucking background check. But make it standard. Make it so it's just something that you do. You know, you go into a new relationship, that's something that you do. Same with domestic violence. It's just, you know, you go into a new relationship and, I don't know, I don't know how you'd get around sort of the whole privacy side of things. You know, what the, is it the information, IFO, is it? What's ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office. Maybe it was something that they could set up, you know, like a database where you could put in someone's name and the date of birth and it'll come up, you know, no records, there's nothing. But if there is something, it'll come up and, you know, people can access it. I don't know. I don't know how you make, you level that with people's privacy and their rights to privacy and stuff. I think one way you might be able to do it is by having it where there is a public thing, but the person has to give their consent to be on the list. Do you know what I mean? Because then if they didn't give the consent to be on the list, that'd be a red flag, wouldn't it? Maybe that'd be the way to do it. that'll get around the whole GDPR situation. Because I don't think, I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't think at the moment you can go to a website and just type in someone's name and date of birth and it tells you what the whole criminal record is, criminal past. But yeah, maybe there should be some kind of like registry. If you're on, you're on Tinder, you're on Match.com, you're on Bumble or whatever, you can't sign up. So I'm having ideas in real time here. This is what's like happening. It's like, this what's my brain's like, it's going stupid things popping off. How about, here's the new rule, right? The government could bring this in. If you want to be on a dating app in the UK, the dating app is not allowed to allow you to join the dating app unless you say exactly who you are and give consent for your background check, your criminal background check. Because we're seeing too many rapists and murderers on dating sites. And so, again, that would, I mean, it's not going to catch everyone because some people haven't committed a crime yet, but they will. But you know what I mean? That would really help. I really feel that way. I really feel like we could have a more proactive system where instead of it being like a thing that men are ashamed of, oh, my girlfriend, she looked me up on the internet to find out if it was a massive nonce, right? Instead of feeling like a shame about that, you feel like the pride of saying, oh no, it's all right, I've got a clean record. That's why I'm on Tinder. I couldn't be on Tinder unless I had a clean record and I proved who I am. To a banking standard, like by a banking standard, I mean like it's difficult to open a bank account anonymously. I mean, I know there's some weird little fucking banks around there that you can do this kind of shit, but you've got to show a lot of ID normally to do that. 'Cause to get a passport, do you remember back in the day when you had to get your passport signed by someone? I don't know if they do this anymore. Maybe it's just when you get your first passport, your first grown-up passport, and you had to get your picture signed, and it had to be like a doctor or an MP or a company director, which was hilarious for me because I was a company director. I had a company in Liverpool called Gringo Multimedia, doing videos and websites and stuff. And yeah, I could sign people. I could sign people's pictures and say, yeah, that's them. But yeah, some kind of like leveled. What do you think? I'm sort of spitballing here ideas about how we can make the environment for dating safer for women and for men. I've got friends who are gay, bisexual, who have been in abusive relationships with men. I've got friends who've been in abusive relationships with women. So yeah, but I mean that's I'm not belittling that. And to anyone who's been through that, I'm really sorry. And I know it can be fucking horrific. But there is the point that the vast majority of men can overpower the vast majority of women, in generally speaking. That's why if your wife's sick of you and she's going to take you out, she'll probably use poison, mate. She's not going to strangle you. You know what I mean? Whereas most domestic violence is perpetrated by men. But yeah, all people entering a relationship should use Clare's law. That is it. As the DBS only shows that there's a conviction. So North Wales, thanks for that comment. Can you tell me a little bit more about Clare's law? So how does that work? Do you go, is it part of gov.uk? Did you go to the gov.uk website and there's a thing there and you can say, I'm in a new relationship with this person. Can I check on their, past history, accusations, etc.? Liz says, being arrested in an anti-ICE protest, for example, could be constructed as a positive too. Yeah, it's true. I think if this was going to make sense, it would have to be related to sexual or violent crimes. So being arrested at a protest, not a violent crime, not a sexual crime. So I don't think that's something that would have to be publicly disclosed. But I do think that there should be one of the things I didn't want to get into talking about the toxic manosphere because we talked about it a lot, but I really feel like there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame. It's a lot of shaming. And what I think of it like is like, when you're in school and you're a teenager and all the boys are like, oh, have you had sex yet? Have you had sex yet? And all this. And there's a big push, especially for young men, to start their sexual fucking, journey, whatever. And that sort of pressure normally dissipates as you get a bit older into your later teens, and then obviously when you go to university, it's not really a thing. Maybe amongst the rugged buggers who are like, I don't know, notching up a body count or something. But for most normal people, it doesn't really come into everyday conversation like it might in a school. But the internet has kind of extended that. When I say everyone's 12 now, they've kind of extended that experience of being 12 years old way beyond the age of 12. And I in some ways, I blame like the older generation for this, like the boomers. And I know not all boomers. I should have a little cutout that says not all boomers, shouldn't I? I'm not saying it's all boomers, but boomers more than any other people, any other group of people I've ever met, have a habit of infantilizing others, especially people who are younger than them. You know, they talk to you like you're an idiot. Hello, are you okay? Oh, time to put your big boy pants on, eh? And you're like, I'm nearly 50. Why are you talking to me like I'm a fucking baby? What the fuck? What is wrong with you? It's just, you know, in my day, you could say the N-word. You can't say it now. And I'm like, oh, is that something that you needed to say every fucking day? Then you drop the C-bomb, don't you? And they go, what did you just say? Just said the C-bomb. Can't believe you just said that. Well, you know, it's just a word, isn't it? But yeah, so I sort of blame that. And also, the boomers themselves, obviously I don't realise that they do this. A lot of them do. I'm not saying that all of them do by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm sure some of you watching this identify with that particular generation being quite patronising, condescending, and infantilising. And then you've also got the situation where you've got kids who are staying at home because they can't afford to buy their own house in their 20s, so in their 30s, even in their 40s, they're still at home with their parents. And that's infantilizing. You know, you don't get the chance to break away. Why are teenagers dickheads, right? Here's a question for you. Why are teenagers such fucking mad? Like, what's with the mood swings and the you know, what's the evolutionary reason for that? I know you can say, well, it's the hormones making them behave like this, and, you know, they have a different circadian rhythm, and that's why they stay in bed till 1 o'clock at the weekends. And I get that, right? But, like, what's the evolutionary reason for teenagers being so insufferable? Well, so they leave home. It's so otherwise they'll just stay at home for the rest of their lives, and that's no good for the propagation of the human race. We need people to leave their village and go and meet people from all over the world and hook up and have babies and continue the human race. It's a vast melting pot of cultures and people and. Anyway, so yeah, that's why the little monsters. But this fits into the infantilizing as well. But also on top of all that, you got the fact that the boomer generation themselves, a lot of them, you know, God love them, a lot of them left school at the age of 14 with no qualifications, no O-levels, no A-levels, no fucking diploma or degree or masters or PhD or anything, right? Not even a SAT. They didn't do SATs. Not even a fucking SAT between them, right? Some of them might have done the 11 plus. That was that's it, right? And lucky for you, the 5% that got to go to grammar school. And so you've got this entire generation that for some reason, right, thought, well, no, I'll tell you what the reason is, right? Because there's something clever about this, right? Well, not clever, just something, you know, worth mentioning, right? These people grew up in an analog world, right? Everything was analog. There was no digital. There was no internet. And if they wanted to find things out, it was a big ball ache. They had to get on the number 10 bus, go into the middle of town, go to Central Library. They had to go through the little card decks and take out the card, find the book. The book might not be there. The book is there. They'll have to thumb through the entire book to find out the name of, I usually give the example of like Louis XIV's finance minister. His first name. His surname was Mazarin. What was his first name? I don't fucking know. Let's find out. Let's go to town on the bus. Let's take an entire afternoon out to find this guy's first name. You could type it in. You could type in Mazarin into Google in a second, then it'll tell you his first name, right? So I understand why once people who left school at 14, went into a profession, went into a skill, went into a job, right? Which was supposed to be at the time a job for life, which doesn't really exist much anymore. But, you know, it was a job for life. It was, you know, and it was decent pay for the cost of living at the time. And you can afford to get drunk and everything. You can afford to take drugs. You can afford to buy a house. You can afford to have children. It's a crazy time. Anyway, so yeah, they now if you think about sort of the practical skills that the boomer generation kind of got that sort of gave themselves. It's usually the skills. I shouldn't say practicals. It's just skills, right? It's usually more practical. It's usually like gardening or woodworking or mechanics or something like that. You know, they've found a little passion. They've indulged that particular interest that they have, which is something they could do. And oftentimes it was stuff that they could do with their hands. An academic sort of enthusiasm for learning new things and learning new facts, that was never part and parcel of that particular generation. It's not their fault. I'm not having a go at them. But that combined with the lead in everything, lead in the paint, lead in the air because of the cars, lead in the fucking the pipes, the bloody water pipes had fucking lead in them, Jesus Christ. And lead doesn't leave your body. It's a bit like asbestos, you know, you get it in your body, it doesn't ever leave. You can't get rid of it. It's there for life. So there's that as well. And also the fact that they are the luckiest generation in human history. And this is why when boomers go, no, boomers, blah, 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 I'm like, listen, mate, just because you rolled the dice, like, you know, fucking, you had the chance to roll the dice 100 fucking times, you know, and you didn't get a 12. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, that's shit, you know, and not everyone can, you know, things happen in life. We often talk about, you know, things that fuck people's lives up, and we often talk about drugs that fuck people's lives up, right? And alcoholism, abusive relationships, obviously. But tied with that, tied with all those things, is the underlying problem for a lot of people who end up going that way, is falling in love with the wrong person, which you can't make illegal. You just can't. But there are a lot of boomers out there who fell in love with the wrong person, let's say, or and they divorced and they got wiped out by the divorce and they've really got back on their feet and now they're pensioners, and you know there's a huge cohort of boomers in the UK. 1 in 5 boomers are living in abject poverty, but then 1 in 4 are millionaires, and I just can't square that circle. I just can't. It's just not right. You know, it's really shit. And if boomers want to say, not all boomers, I really think they should start working together then. Okay, cool. If you prove it. Prove that you care about, obviously you don't care about future generations, because otherwise you'd have done something like climate change 50 fucking years ago. But, you know, prove that you care about your fellow boomers, you know, which is something that we could have done, I guess, during the COVID pandemic, but we didn't. And lots of people, well, it was more the silent generation, wasn't it? And the greatest generation who were taken out by COVID. Old war, people who had survived the Second World War, people who had survived the Holocaust. In Germany and Austria and Poland, they survived the Holocaust. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I think there's quite a few factors in the way that quite a few boomers tend to infantilize generations coming up and patronise them and claim that they're not working hard enough, and you've got this bullshit about if you ate less avocado toast you'll be alright, and you just like really like that just drives me up the fucking wall when people say that. Yes, if it was simple as that, we'd all do it. But yeah, have one less cup of coffee and you'll be able to afford your first starter home. All right. But yeah, I was talking about why teenagers are gobshites. And it's because they need to leave home. They need to leave home. They need to build up that. And it's weird because it's not weird, but like you find that a lot of times the relationship between a kid and their parents when they're teenagers is really bad. And then when they get a bit older, they go away, work somewhere, or they go to university, or go travel the world, and they come back. And then the relationship is much better than it ever was. I found that with my dad. I've always got on with my mum, but with my dad in particular, it wasn't until years later that I actually had we built a good relationship. So yeah, I'm going to look into the chat. Sorry, I've been blabbering away there without looking into the chat. And what the fuck is 11 plus? Says Alex French. It's a test that you take to go to grammar school. I bought my first house in my teens. I bought my first house in my teens. Oh my God. That is absolutely insane. In your teens. How the fuck did you do that, mate? Was that with your money from Sony? Fucking hell. It's been paying well. Then again, maybe it was the 90s and they were just giving houses away. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? More crazy war. Yeah. Those born in 1954 to 65 are currently being reclassified as General Jones. General Jones? Generation Jones. I don't understand. Sorry, Liz, you're going to have to give me a bit more information. I've never heard that term before. Having been born in 1966, I'm inclined to agree. I see Graham is back in Prestatyn. Yeah. My friend got dumped at school by his first girlfriend. Was brutal to watch. Oh God. Claire's Law. You can phone the police and they will let you know if there's anything listed and not for conviction, as the police will also tell you of any arrests or warnings issued. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So, I think right. Unless. Okay. That puts the. Thanks for that comment, North Wales RC. That puts the onus on the woman. Do you know what I mean? And then if something happens to the woman, the patriarchy can turn around and say, well, you know, we had that look. You could have looked him up. You could have looked him up, but you chose not to. Do you know what I mean? I think the onus should be on the dating apps. I think the dating apps should be the ones to make that phone call and say, we've got this guy, he's joined us and he's thinking of going on dates with women, and we just need to check if he abuses women or not. And if he does abuse women, he's not allowed on, he's barred. You know, like for certain people who were barred from bars from bars and pubs in Liverpool, for instance. So a lot of the time, the bouncers on these places all work for like one company. They don't work necessarily for the Jacaranda and the Bar and Modo or whatever the fuck it's called now. They work for a company that supplies bouncers to all these different places, right? And what happens is, if there's someone who is bad fucking news, who has gone in, started fights or stabbed someone or fucking done something, their picture will be circulated amongst all the bouncers in all these different places, so they won't get in anywhere. I think that it's got to be that kind of bouncer mentality for dating apps. So instead of making it so that women have to be proactive and call up and say, hey, you know, is this guy okay? You can be safe in the knowledge that if someone is on a British dating app, then they have to have been vetted. Otherwise, there's a lot of crimes that are being committed right now as a result of dating apps, and I think that that's something that we really need to do something to look into. So bringing together Claire's Law with the protection of people going on these apps. Men as well. Do you know what I mean? If you're on Grindr or something, yeah. I want to know if a man's been accused of horrific things before I, go meet up with him in the pub. Well, do you know what I mean? I'll move on. I've got loads of things to read, I guess. It's been quite a crazy week. Yeah. I bought my first house in my teens. I've had that one. Graham is making me feel old, lol, says Plum. Alex, it was an exam to decide what school kids went to at secondary school. I left school at 16 with 5 CCEs, says Harry. Alex, it was the exam you went to. Oh God, you answered that question about the 11 plus. My first job at 16 was moving pallets at a tampon warehouse. I didn't last long. My first job at the age of 11 was working in my dad's shop, in the carburetor shop. I had to answer the fucking phone. Like quite garrulous, and I can go into any sort of social situation anywhere in the world and go, hey everyone, and talk to people. That's because of my dad. That is because my dad, at the age of fucking 11, when I was 11, he would make me answer the phone at his shop on Muirhead Avenue, Carburetors Unlimited, get a better carburetor, and go, hello? A little fucking kid, hello? Hello, I'd like to get a new Weber carburetor from my old Cortina, H-Reg. And I'm like, okay, just one sec. I'll just look that if we've got one. And I'd have to look on a bit of sheet of paper and work out how much. That'll be £57. Or if you want it fitted, it'll be £100 all in. And they're like, okay, cool. I'll be. And like, I'm thinking, if I tried to order a pizza at the age of 11, they would not take my order because I sounded too young. Do you know what I mean? Me dad had me answering. There's I think we've come kind of full circle with this, because like answering a phone call to a stranger was quite like a scary thing when we were younger. But then it could always happen. I mean, if you were working, then it would always happen. It would always be a stranger calling you up, right? But even at your house phone, if it would ring, you didn't get like caller ID. back then, really. You know, you didn't know who it was. You just picked it up and went, hello. And nowadays, nobody answers their phone. Nobody, I don't do it. I don't answer my fucking phone. You know, I'm always in the middle of something. The phone goes off and I just look at it and I'm like, I'll call you back. Do you know what I mean? And I always say to people who call me up, I say, for fuck's sake, will you just text me first and say, are you free for a call? And then I'll call you. It's fine. I'm not avoiding you. It's just I'm up a fucking ladder adjusting the fucking area and I don't want to do a rod haul. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you just leave me alone for a second? So there's two things here. First of all, we used to be able to get away from the phone. We could just leave the house and we wouldn't be anywhere near a phone. But the other thing is kids are, I've got phones on them all the time, which we didn't have. You can't get away from it. But kids now are not answering the phone. So, because there's like a trepidation, there's like people get really stressed when they have to answer the phone. And I guess my generation was the last one to have that sort of train beaten out of them in some ways, just for the way you have to go through life. You know, the phone rang, you answered it. But that, I think in some ways it's kind of good that I feel like I can just go into any kind of social situation and just have a chat with people and not have that sort of trepidation. But I think it's a bit different when it's face to face. I think when it's a voice on the phone that is it's someone that you don't know, it might be a bit different. I don't know. But it is funny because you're seeing these articles now about Generation Z. They just don't bother calling them. They won't answer the phone. Trying to explain to our kids that, like, you know, if we're only going to call you if it's important. We're only going to call you if it's important. Your mum's deaf. So, like, seriously, like, we're not going to call you unless it's important. If we call you, answer the bloody phone. We're still trying to drill that into them. EGR, idiot, racist protest in Bristol. Oh, sorry about that. ERG. Same Harry had an engineering apprenticeship with BNFL, British Nuclear Fuels Limited, is that? Lined up, but Maggie soon saw off, so ended up working in the shop for 9 years. Turned out okay, though. Gen X will outnumber boomers by 2028. Well, there you go. My first job, 1974, was at a music instrument factory. Got my first drum kit there. That's really cool. When I was young, everyone drank alcohol, especially at lunchtime. Unbelievably drunk. Every lunchtime, then back to work. Yeah, plum. I mean, I've heard the joke about when if there was a car crash in the 1960s, there was a good chance that the driver would be drunk, and the driver of the car that got hit would also be drunk, and all the witnesses who saw the car crash, they'll all be drunk. And then the police officer came on, took notes. He would be drunk. And then if it went to court, and I was before a judge, a magistrate, the magistrate would also be drunk. And if it went to a jury trial, for whatever reason, all the jury would be drunk as well. Everyone was drunk all the fucking time, pretty much. Pretty much all the time. All drunk a lot. But you could then, because it was dead cheap. It's not cheap anymore. Costs lots of money to drink. My dad and my aunt were twins, and the difference in their lives is literally chalk and cheese. My dad struggled, got a job as a gardener and a HGV driver, and died with nothing, yet my aunt has money. Yeah. You don't know the way that life's going to turn out, and I'm not having a pop at, like, you know, people have done all right for themselves. It's just when there's a certain element in society that want to kick the ladder away. That's what bothers me. It's not that there are rich people, of course, there's always going to be rich people, but there are rich people who make it their raison d'etre to kick the ladder away for everybody else. And the best example I can give for this, that has affected me personally, is Europe. Like, the vast majority of the people who voted to leave Europe, leave the EU, were older people, the older generations. Vast majority. The vast majority of people who said they wanted to stay in the EU, younger people. So a recent survey, 18 to 25-year-olds, 80%, 4 out of 5 respondents to a particular survey, between the age of 18 and 25, 26, I think it was. It was the age they couldn't have voted in the actual referendum. 80% would like to rejoin the EU. 80%. That's a mad figure, isn't it? And it's also why I think it's inevitable. First job as a heating engineer company at my local area, lasted 6 months. I then got the apprenticeship, been doing that for the rest of my life, not bad. That's cool. Alice Durham. Alex French, I'm 37. I bought my house at 28. Ooh. Keeping up with the Joneses. Not too bad at the moment. Press what in? Press that in. Hi, L. Pagan, not wrong with a nap. Not wrong with that. The boomers' education system is much more patriarchal as well, says Ernie. Yeah. Yeah, and it was abusive. It was a really abusive fucking system. It made kids feel like shit. If they were naughty, they were abused, like physically abused by teachers. And you know that there were teachers out there who, at the time, who would get like sexual gratification from harming a child, and they were just given a free rein. You know, there's nothing stopping them back then. It's fucking disgusting. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, yeah, they fuck you up, your mum and dad. They don't mean to, but they do. It's a fantastic poem by Philip Larkin, and it just, yeah, it deepens like a coastal shelf. But yeah, it's unfortunate, you know. They what's the poem? They give you all the faults that they had, and then add some extra just for you. That's kind of true, that. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons why the boomer generation in particular is the way it is. And like I say, I don't mind that people have got a bit of money. What bothers me is the ladder kicking and the belittling and the infantilization of the younger generations, and the hoarding of the wealth, and the way that it's almost like the curse of knowledge, which we've talked about before, which is if you know something, you kind of presume that someone else knows it. And the best example of this was they did a study where they had to clap out the tune of Happy Birthday. And if you didn't know it was Happy Birthday, right, you asked, like, if you asked people what that clap noise was, that it was Happy Birthday, how many do you think would get that it was Happy Birthday? And people were like, oh yeah, over 50%, 60%, 70%. Yeah, it's really obvious. Yeah, it's really obvious to you because you know it's Happy Birthday. When they actually did it and they went up to someone and clapped like that and said, what tune am I clapping here? No one got it. It was like 95% of people just didn't get it. Because that's the curse of knowledge. You think that because it's so self-evident to you, it's so obvious to you that everyone else can see that same thing. But that's not the case. That's not the way humans work. We do have this sort of curse of knowledge, and that, I think, informs a lot of the attitudes of that older generation. Is like, well, it was okay for me. You know, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I mean, I hate that expression because it's only ever used by gobshites, isn't it? Isn't it, right? But also, it's like, if you think about the actual terminology, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? That's something that is impossible. It's an impossible thing to pull yourself up by your bootstraps because they're on your feet, they're on your boots, they're on your... How do you pull yourself up? How do you think about it? How do you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? It's a nonsense phrase. It basically means there's no way you can better your situation. You know, it's like mocking you. It's like Hobson's choice as an expression. Hobson's choice means, and people know what this means, it means there's a choice of one. You know, that's it. So it's not a choice. It's an oxymoron, really. It's obviously it's an idiom, but yeah, Hobson's choice. There is no choice. You've got the one action that you can do. Grinder, a hellscape, lol. Yeah. I still remember the first time that I heard the term Hobson's choice. I was 6 years old. I was at the corner shop, Doug's corner shop at the end of the road. And I was there with my neighbour, who was my babysitter at the time. And we went in because I wanted, I was going to get, she said, what do you want from the ice cream? And I said, I want a Fab or a Zoom. And we opened up the freezer, and she said, there's no Zooms, so it's Hobson's choice. And I went, what does that mean? And she said, it means there's a choice of one. And she got out of Fab. True story. I don't know why I still remember that. If you're watching, hi Bernie. Yeah, that's what did happen with security clubs in Glasgow, Edinburgh, and then first started going to other towns in Scotland. Yeah, it's quite common. I feel like there's a wrong and they just won't get in. And I think that dating apps need to, obviously they're not going to do this off their own back. The government needs to legislate to protect people, to protect women and men. Wackos on Grindr. Your dad does a great job, Graham says. Plum. Oh, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. Yeah, I don't know. My relationship with my dad improved as I got older. I mean, there was a time when I was a teenager that we just, roaring at each other. But I, I know he was very much a product of his generation. He was born in the 30s, so he was silent generation. He was older than the boomers. Um, but that generation who grew up in, they remember the war when they were little kids. So, they had a very different wartime experience than adults did at the time, but they had more of a wartime experience than the fucking boomers, who were not around during the war, yet are all seemingly obsessed with it, which is a bit weird. Your dad sounds like your dad grounded you, my friend. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. You mean? He said I wasn't allowed to leave the house. I just climbed out the window. My first job was at YTS down local Asda. Worked with Kajagoogoo's ex-singer Limal's mum. She was lovely. That's so random. I love it. Graham, why were you late setting up today? Did you find a snake in the house? My guess, no. Never seen a snake on the island. But you're not far off. You're actually not far off. It did involve a creature doing something that was problematic. Oh, I want to tell you now. See if we get some more guesses. Why was I nearly late for the show this morning? This is fun. My voicemail has been full for at least 10 years, says Josh. Yeah, exactly. Mum's listening to Hazel O'Connor Blackman in the front room. Lol. I only answer if I know the number. I really hate callbacks. Yeah. I often feel mobile phone is a very unfortunate device we invented for ourselves. Certainly, combining it with the computer was. I know, but then it's the bad and the good. It's the fact that I can lie here on the fucking hammock having a chat with you in the morning here on my island, in Panama, and we can have this two-way conversation. It's not even a two-way conversation. It's how many people watch it? 60. It's a 61-way conversation. You're talking to each other, I'm talking to you, and we can do all this with the technology that we've got in our pockets. It's fucking incredible. A whole fucking film studio in our pockets, and transmission fucking stuff. It's amazing. I tend to answer my phone. I feel ignorant if I don't. Elle says 10 p.m, 7 p.m, phone automatically on silent, and 2 numbers are set to go through, one being my mum. That's a good way of doing it. My dad always drunk drove, it wasn't good, says Plum Duff. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not particularly aware of my dad ever drunk driving. I don't know if he did. If he did, I didn't see it at the time. I know that if he went to play snooker or he went out for a meal or something, it was quite rare that he would drive himself. Like, usually my mum would drive him and drop him off. So yeah, but before I was around, who knows, I don't know. But that generation didn't seem to think there was any problem with it. Sarah, you got the autographs. Oh, brilliant. Sorry, I've not had a chance to check my messages. See, I'm talking about not checking my messages. Not had a chance to check my messages this morning, but I'll have a look. You put the autographs in frames. Oh, that's fucking fantastic. Thanks, Sarah. Put them in frames, and I'll have a look at that after the show. PT, people try to bully me. I'm small, and bullies like an easy target. Problem for them is I'm not an easy target. Oops on their behalf. Good stuff, L. Standing up for yourself there. One of your pagans being is just a Hazel O'Connor. Hey, what kills you don't make you stronger. No, polio. Polio doesn't kill you. It certainly doesn't make you stronger. I think that's a bit of a daft expression because, what doesn't kill you makes so you lose all your limbs. Are you stronger? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're more determined to stay alive. I don't know. I'm not having a pop at anyone doing all right for themselves. Swings on hammock and private island. Love your humour, Graham. Yeah, it's just, I think if you do have a private island and you live on the island, then it's only fair that you put yourself on couch surfing and you let people come and stay for free. I did that for many years on this island. It's fucking great. These days it's on Airbnb for just 39 quid a night for an entire fucking island to yourself, which I think is a bargain, but the last guy who stayed here said it was not good value for money. Maybe that's why I'm a bit bitter about boomers at the moment. And he was a yank. Anyway, so where are we? I agree, Graham. Mine fucked me up when my mum didn't mean to. Be careful though, Graham. Your mum might be watching. No, my mum's great. My mum's absolutely fantastic. My mum's just pure empathy. Thing is, I was 16. All the bullies were in their 30s. Says Des. Says Pete. Sorry. Plus, it taught me not to take crap off folk, not to be so sensible. Yeah, sensitive. Yeah. All kids have ADHD, autism, dyslexia, or mental health issues, and they'll be troublemakers. Hello, I was that kid. Now diagnosed in my 40s with ADHD. I've had it all along. The teachers did say I was hyperactive. I wasn't allowed to have sweets in the tuck shop, So I'll just get my mates to buy it for them. Graham, yeah, loved giving the belt to kids over nothing to get their kicks. Usually a male teacher, but when there's some female teachers giving the belt too badly. Thank goodness that got stopped. Yeah, and the same people who complain about it being stopped are the same people who voted for Brexit and Trump and the war in Iran and all that kind of stuff. Not that anyone voted for the war in Iran. So it's getting really windy. Can you please let me know if it's affecting the audio? I'll try and put my camera there. Let's see if I've got something. Oh, it's getting really windy now. Now if I put that there as a windbreak, how can I attach that? Wow, it is getting super, super windy. Listen, I might have to put my mic on, and I know that everyone's told me that when I put my mic on I sound like a robot, but I am going to have to put my mic in. Top of the range USB-C mic, which I can shield from the rain, from the wind. Well, I think it's going to start pissing down with rain in a second. You know that bit in Lost where John Locke looks up and he says it's going to rain in 10 seconds, and then 10 seconds later it starts to rain? Yeah, after you've been on an island in the tropics long enough, you can do that yourself. I'm thinking I'm going to lose my hat here. Okay, right, I'm sorry that this doesn't sound as good. Sorry, I need to shelter. I need to shelter you from the rain. Okay. Right, so hopefully you won't be getting too much wind on there. I'll keep my hand here. So I swear to God. Oh, Faith, can you see? I'm shielding my mic. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me sing? You want me to stop? That's how I know you can hear me. Yeah, loved giving the belt. I read that one. My schools were fine. It was mostly the students and a number of crap teachers that pissed me off. You never forget a good teacher. You never forgive a bad one. They diagnosed ADHD at 55, and hell in school. I was called troublemaker or disruptive, taken till 55 to find out what was wrong with me. Says North Wales. Nothing wrong with you, mate. You're just a bit different. That's all. You break differently. It's like being left-handed, or being gay, or being trans. It's not a problem. People are different. Is what I do, says Pete. The pop up by the bootstrap sign was originally satire. It was adopted by the writers as a good thing. Yeah, you don't seem to understand that. It's a pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It is a joke. A choice of one. Could there be a government made and run dating apps that are not focused on people not meeting, and so the app stays and the app? Sorry, I'm reading this from S. Colling E. Could there be a government made and run dating apps so it's not focused on people not meeting, so they stay on the app and the app keeps making money? Oh, well, this is I was going to talk a little bit about the toxic manosphere. I mean, that whole thing, I think the whole toxic manosphere has been invented by these dating apps to make sure that no one ever actually hooks up and stays with that partner, because you just wouldn't, would you? It's kind of like the red flag of all red flags is someone who watches Andrew Tate videos. I think Andrew Tate's got a good point about something. I'm gonna have to just check on the text to see how's Kat doing. Kat's fine. Parkwood in Durham. She's having a good time. She's visiting a friend at the moment, who is she's got a lot on at the moment. I don't know how much I can talk about the stuff, but yeah, she's just visiting a friend who's in a bit of a situation at the moment. It's good to have. It's good to have a mate tenner, so that's nice. Maybe someone else is renting their island out for £29 £29 a night. Yeah, exactly. I mean, go stay there. Honestly, the island next door, it's low season now, so they brought the rate down for the night, and it's only $1,519 now a night to stay on the island next door. Yeah. Getting wind on sound now, Graham. Honestly, if I feel like I'm in a wind tunnel, I'm having to hold on to my hat here. There's a good chance that this tripod might fall over. I'm not even kidding. What sorts of fish live around your island, Graham? I bet some beauties. Oh, yeah. We've got nurse sharks here. We've got eagle-spotted rays that are beautiful. They sometimes jump out the water. We have jellyfish. Oh, God, one of the other things that the people who were staying here complained about was that they couldn't swim on the reef because of all the jellyfish. So I'm supposed to fucking control the fucking jellyfish now, am I? They put this in the fucking Airbnb review, and I can't take it off now. I've got a shit review, and now there's a problem, issues reported sticker on me fucking listing. So pissed off. I am so pissed off. It's like, and there weren't enough pillows, and there wasn't a ladder for the boat, and we couldn't go swimming in the reef because of the jellyfish. Why did he get rid of the jellyfish before we got there? Dang! Ah! Yeah. Anyway, keep hold of the hat, Graham. Yeah. I'd love to see some. We also have some yellowfin tuna around here, which are massive. We have barracudas, which are also massive. Around this boat dock, we often have swordfish. We get a lot of swordfish around here. We get a lot of fry around the boat dock, usually. Certain times of the year, you'll have like thousands and thousands of fry, just all moving about. It's quite hypnotic, the way they all sort of move in these ripples in unison, and then they'll go into the mangrove roots and stuff, so the big fish can't come and get them. So there's loads of aquatic life. We've also got sea urchins out in the reef. We've got coral out there. We've got clownfish. Have we got clownfish? Something like a clownfish anyway. I don't know if we got clownfish in these waters. We also get the Japanese fucking, what are they called? The Japanese, the spiky fish. The Japanese spiky fish. What's it called? I've forgotten. Anyway, it's an intrusive species. It's got a cool name. It's like a Japanese dragonfish. It's not called a dragonfish. It's got a cool name, and it looks cool. But it's an invasive species, and it takes out the native species of this area, so we try not to encourage it. Pufferfish, no. Lionfish, that's it. Lionfish, Japanese lionfish. They look amazing, but whenever I'm out with my mates scuba diving around here, we usually take a little miniature harpoon thing. Well, not a harpoon, a sharpened stick. I don't know what it's called. There's a name for it. And if you see one of these lionfish, it gets speared. It gets speared. Here, Graham, I can sponsor a fish. Yay, thank you. Although it's expected that Tyrannosaurus Rex has short arms, because they use their head as their primary weapon. I use my head as my primary weapon as well. Sound like a fucking T-Rex. It sounds like an absolute paradise. It is. It is very windy at the moment. I'll show you the water is choppy as fuck. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I didn't stay in town last night and then come back in this. This would be horrible to come back into. This would be you'd be in the panga, you'd be in the boat. That's a panga behind me. And every time you went over a wave, which would be about 270 times on the way over here, your arse was slammed down onto the hard board of the seat on the panga. Lionfish are an ecological bane. Yeah. Speared and fish, eat the lionfish. Yeah, we eat them. This fish talk is making me hungry. I'm frying sea bass tonight. Oh, that sounds good. No, when I lived here, I would often be out on this here boat dock, and I would. Can you tell me if the sound's all right? Because I've kind of got my little waistcoat thing sort of protecting the mic. Just let me know if the sound's all right, because I've got no monitor. I can't check. I used to be on the hammock. I'll be writing away on my laptop, and I put a line in the water, and catch some fish. Do you know what I mean? I did have a fishing rod for a long time, and then I ended up sacking that off and just literally putting a line, tying it to the boat dock.
at one end and just drop it in the other. I used to use as bait wiener sausages. I tried all kinds of things as bait, but nothing ever worked as good as wiener sausages. I don't know why, but I don't like wiener sausage. I don't like hot dog sausages. I don't think they're nice. They feel like, I know that sausages are the ultimate processed food, aren't they? Of course they're processed, but like, I don't know, it just feels like plastic food. So I used to buy a pack of these cheap sausages and then just put them on a hook in the water. I did have a fishing rod, right? And this one time I was sitting there, right? Let me show you. I was sitting just there, right? On that step on the water, right? And I had my laptop on my knee or next to me, right? And I was watching Mad Men on my laptop, right? This is years ago. I'm watching Mad Men, right? And I've been sitting there for maybe like 3 hours or something. I'd watched like 3 episodes or something, and then I decided to have a look for something else on my laptop or something. I had to do something on my laptop, and I put down the fishing line that had been in the water for 3 hours at this point. It was nighttime, right? It had been in the water for been in my hand for 3 hours, right? I kept hold of it, and I put it down, and literally 2 seconds after I put it down next to me, it flew off into the fucking water. Obviously something big caught it. I just went, I'm taking this. And the next day I went out with my snorkel and I searched all around it. I searched in the mangroves. I searched all the area. I just could not find me fucking fishing rod. So somewhere out there in the ocean, there's a big fuck off fish towing a fishing rod. Anyway, we had a massive super chat come in. Wow, Plum Duff. Thank you so much, Plum. That is so kind of you. 50 quid. 50 quid. That is amazing. Thank you so much, Plum. For the fish of Panama. Oh wow! Thank you for the mega chat, Plum. That's amazing. Thank you. You're in tropical waters. What do people expect? Well, they expect me to go in and before they arrive to stay at this place, which costs less than the travel lodge. They want me to go and clear out all the jellyfish. Yeah. Very disappointed about all the jellyfish. They're not there all the time, Thank you so much, Plum. That is incredible. Thank you so much. No wind, sound is fine. Thank you. What's the hurricane contingency plan? Well, Liz, this is a hurricane hole. I love these questions that you're asking because they're good questions. This is a hurricane hole, which means that when the hurricanes come, a lot of the boats that during hurricane season from sort of August all the way to sort of December, the boats from other islands in the Caribbean, so Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia, the Dominica, obviously, Dominica, Martinique, and Guadeloupe, Montserrat, and St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, and Anguilla, and St. Martin or Saint Martin. And the US Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, obviously the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, and the island of Hispaniola, which has Haiti and Dominican Republic on it, and Cuba and the Bahamas, and the Aguila and Aruba and Bonaire and Curacao and the San Blas Islands, which now have a different name apparently. I learned that while I was watching Race Around the World. Anyway, so all the boats from all those islands basically come here. They come here to Panama because they know that the hurricane's not going to hit it. Well, they never used to, but I have a feeling that as a result of climate change and there being more storms and them being more intense, I think there's a good chance that we might end up getting those hurricanes that we never used to get. So thanks for that. But if you notice, whenever you watch any of the stuff coming from my island, you'll notice that things aren't built to last here. And that's quite intentional because there's just no point. You just can't. It's like pushing water uphill. Everything out here wants to destroy what you've made. So the mangroves are acidic. So if they touch the roof of your building, the roof of your building's just going to disintegrate. If you've got wood, you've got not just the elements, but you've also got loads of things that like to eat the wood. I mean, you might be able to shore up your defenses against termites and things by spraying the wood with a BREW or stuff. I mean, it's a lot of effort. And then you might get something else. Fucking woodpeckers might turn up. I don't know if we get woodpeckers down in these climes, but yeah, just wood rots, metal rusts, electronics. Any electronics just gets fucked after a while. A flat screen TV will last maybe 2 years. The one thing that I had, which I thought was really good at the time, which I'd like to sort of sort out again at some point, was I used to have a projector. And I had a white wall downstairs under the house, and I used to project movies onto the wall. So I project like Moana and stuff onto the wall, and I'd be mates around, and we all sat around on beanbags and stuff and watch movies. And that was better than having a TV. I mean, you couldn't watch it during the day, obviously it's too bright, but yeah, because I could put it away in the storeroom, and it could be away from everything. If it was a TV on the wall, I did used to have a TV in here. After a couple of years, all the picture goes all weird because of the sea air, because of the salt in the air. Everything's just trying to eat everything else up, and we get the storms. And the storms come along, and they'll rip your roof off. They'll cause it. So basically, everything's kind of built in such a way that if it falls over or gets eaten or whatever, or gets struck by lightning, it's not too expensive to fix the situation, to remedy the situation. But yeah, that's why in a lot of countries that you look at, which are sort of developing, I guess, a lot of communities, smaller communities that live out in the sticks, you'll see that people tend to opt not for, these sort of really, really expensive houses. And you think, why, if you had the money, why not? Why don't we do something a bit more sort of, they've got a bit more legs to it. And it's like, well, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it because it'll still fall apart. It might last for another couple of years more than anything else. But even my friendly neighbour next door charging $1,500 a night to stay at his place, he's got cabanas on the water, and I believe they've only got like a 10-year shelf life, and then they're going to dismantle them and then build another set of cabanas on the water. Oh wow, we've got loads of chat. We've got another super chat as well somewhere. Yay! You're on the AMOC. Don't you make an AMOC of me? Andrew says £2 super chat. Stop limbo. What caused your delay this morning? Okay, so I told you the story about there being ants in my coffee. Well, this morning I opened the fridge to get the milk out for the coffee. I only opened the fridge to get the milk out. It was only open for a matter of seconds. And Gordon, my gecko, well, all my geckos are called Gordon. My house has got about, 17,000 geckos in it. Gordon bloody runs into the fucking fridge like a massive tit. And I'm like, Gordon, don't run into the fridge. I've just been to town. The fridge is full of food. Don't run into the fridge. Because if I close the door, Gordon's not going to survive that. Gordon is not, he's a gecko. He's a cold-blooded animal. He's not going to survive being in a fucking fridge for the morning. So I'm like, Gordon, get out my fucking fridge. So I had to spend 5 minutes taking all the food out of the fridge and gently coaxing Gordon to get the fuck out of my fridge. This one time at Bandcamp, I did open my freezer in the morning, right? Only to find that one of the Gordons had decided to climb into my my freezer and had become absolutely solidified in my freezer. Unfortunately, poor little chap passed away from it being frozen, but it was like a perfectly frozen gecko in my freezer one morning, and I felt very bad because I love my geckos. So yeah, the reason I was almost late starting this morning was that I had a gecko in my fridge. And that's why it's something that would never really happen in the UK, I don't think. So I was halfway right. It was a gecko. Yes, it was a gecko. Wanted to chill out. Hey, I like that. So very good. Blue box jellyfish included. I don't think we've got any blue box jellyfishes. I don't think we've got any Portuguese man of war. Yeah, I don't think we do. I quite like jellyfish. I think they're cool. Every time someone plays Panama, it says Panama. I get Van Halen blasting out. I've had a fucking song that I hate stuck in my head for days now. I had it when I was in one of the fucking uh, airports that I was in. They played this song, and it's one of those, um, those cheesy fucking songs that, like, you know, Ian from accounting, when you go out for the works Christmas party, goes, "Oh, it's my favourite song," and start dancing like a twat to it. And it's all about being young and going out and dancing, and oh, I hate it. Fucking hate it. Anyway, it's been stuck in my head like an earworm for. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want it to get stuck in your head. But it's one of those fucking songs. Ugh. Why is it that earworms are songs that only people who don't like music like? What is that? What is that? There must be a graph. There must be like a Venn diagram or something we can do for this. Because I hardly ever get an earworm of a really good song. It hardly ever happens. My YouTube short feed had a marine biologist spear lionfish. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Earlier, I went. That they had like a harpoon, not a harpoon, a stick, a sharpened stick. They used that. I can't remember what the name is. They used that to spear them, and then I realised that the word they wanted was spear. That happens sometimes. That sounds decent. Although I did the wind in the background is kind of soothing. Lots of guesses on your creature problem, but obviously not correct. Not leaving us in limbo. What caused your delay? Humans don't respect the sea creatures, in my humble opinion. Don't respect them enough. Yeah, Plum. We don't respect creatures enough. We don't respect animals enough. We don't respect humans enough. We just, if there's any problem in the world right now, it is a lack of empathy and a lack of respect. And this thing of like people get it, and some people do this with all, the best of intentions, right? And they're not being horrible. They're not being horrible. And I think that a lot of people watching this are going to relate to this, and a lot of people who, even me, right? I've done this, right? And I try not to. I've said this before. Just because something worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for anyone else. The way you lived your life, the way you found your partner, the job that you got, the house that you got, the mortgage rate that you got, the medicine that works for you, the therapy that works for you, the drugs that work for you, the alcohol that you enjoy or don't enjoy, the way you got away from an addiction, the way that you make your body look, the things that work for you are absolutely 100% unique to you in that particular configuration. That is you. That they're the things that go hand in hand with your persona, the soul of your being. Those things work for you in that particular order, and it'll be absolutely unique, right? And unfortunately, we do get in our heads, and there's a bit of main character syndrome here, that because that thing works for you, it'll work for everybody else. And we do this. We all do this. We have a friend who's got a cough, and we're like, "Oh, what you want to do is you want to get some fucking basil and stick it up your ass, and you want to, I don't know, snort a line of turmeric, and you want to, squeeze a fucking lemon in your eye or something. Whatever works for them." And it's okay up to a point. People are trying to be helpful, but there is a toxic side to this. Not just that, like, people get all pouty if you go, "It's all right, I'll just stick with me fucking anodine because that works for me," right? I don't have to make a fucking potion. Let's go to the shop and go to the fucking spice aisle in Tesco to get over this cold that I've got, which will probably go away by itself, as most colds do. But yeah, the side of like people getting all uppity, like, "Oh, how dare you say that you're not going to do the thing that I've given the unasked for advice, for." I mean, that's one thing. But where it becomes really kind of toxic is in the realm of anti-vax literature and anti-vax content online, which is incredibly painful because the vast majority of people, the vast majority, the vaccine fucking worked, and that's why they're on the internet moaning about vaccines. If the vaccine didn't work, they wouldn't be on the internet fucking because they'll be dead. Simple as that. So many people will be dead. Smallpox, cholera, not cholera, diphtheria, and meningitis, and measles, mumps, and all this stuff that kills people, especially kids. Kills kids. So there's that sort of bad side of it as well, and but also it's when people do need help, not giving them a range of solutions to their problems. And we've had conversations here before about cognitive behavioral therapy. I have friends and loved ones who have done really well out of cognitive behavioral therapy. I know people who have done really, really badly out of it. It just didn't work for them. In fact, in some ways, it made it worse, right? Um, so, what do we learn from this? Well, cognitive behavioral therapy is not for everyone, but also at the same time, it's not for no one. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean it's not going to work for somebody else. And we tend to get a little bit ahead of ourselves on this issue. And it's something that I would like to add to my, we need more empathy, we need more respect, we need more humility in the world. We need people to understand that just because you want to live your life your way doesn't mean that you should be telling other people how to live their life. And that goes for, like, you know, telling them what to do when they've got a cold, all the way to you shouldn't have puberty blockers, as a teenager, because I don't want to have puberty blockers. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to have them. Like, what are you even talking about? I just, yeah. So grim. Anyway, so yeah, that I'll get off behind horse now. And look, I'm not innocent in this myself. I do it myself. Although I do know one person, right, in my life, and they're not a friend of mine or nothing, really, but I know them. And there's a running joke that no matter what you do, they'll always tell you that you did it wrong and there's a better way to do it. Absolutely anything. And it's like, you don't want to do it like that. You want to do it like this. Basically, the guy's a Harry Enfield character. And that's, I mean, I understand the need for people to be helpful. And I think this is an ADHD thing as well in some cases, where you'll go to someone else's house and they do something a bit differently. And you're like, I don't like the way you do the thing a bit differently. What you do with the spoon after you've made yourself a cup of tea is a good example for this. But yeah, and then you'll do something in someone else's house because that's the way you do it in your house. And then the people whose house it is like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why have you moved this thing? Oh, because in my house I have that on the windowsill. And they're like, yeah, in this house we fucking don't. Well, you fuck up. This isn't your house. So yeah, there's that as well, which is kind of like part and parcel of all that. And it's not Marcus. No, 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 no. It's not Marcus. No, no, absolutely not. 100% plastic. No, no, not Marcus at all. The guy I'm talking about is a Yankee. He's not a bit. Marcus is he's entirely skilled at what he does. But Marcus is a really nice guy. And he also, if he's not sure about something, he'll say, "I'm not sure about this." But when it comes to doing the solar panels and doing the woodwork in the house and stuff like that, he's a fucking master. And it was, I felt like his apprentice when he was here, and it was great learning from him. And it was a really good experience. So no, it was definitely not Marcus. I'll make that very clear right now. I bet the guy that got Huntley's getting free hooch and spice the rest of his sentence. Probably, yeah. I studied counselling. It really annoys me. I do this, do that, etc. Not how it works. Well, yeah, El. This is the thing with the parenting. Okay, a really, really good example. Now, I never went through this because I'm a stepdad and I came in a bit late in the story. But like new parents, right? Having a baby is, for most people, it's the scariest thing they'll ever do in their fucking life. Doing a fucking skydive or a bungee jump or going down in a cage with the sharks around you. That's nothing on giving birth. I mean, giving birth is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. I mean, it's something that we don't really talk about very much, of like how terrifying it always will. You like to try and make it as routine as humanly possible, just to go, oh no, it's just normal, it's just natural, it's just the way it is. It's fucking terrifying. Anyway, but so you got these young parents, and everyone who's a parent has suddenly become a fucking expert in parenting, and whatever works for them is what all other parents must do. And if they don't do that same thing to their kids, it's abuse. In the heads of these parents who like, no, this is the way I raise my kid, and this is the only way to raise a kid. And it's like, that is absolutely bollocks, right? Depending on the type of parent you are, the type of person you are, the type of personality that your child has, and even as a baby, children have personalities. Do they cry a lot? Do they not cry a lot? Is it easy to push it? Just because you potty trained your kid in a particular way, it doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else. And the most, I think, oppressive form of this comes from the shit that women get for not breastfeeding. It really fucks me off from the women who can breastfeed and find it easy, taking it out on the women who do not find it easy, find it incredibly painful and uncomfortable and difficult and stressful. And like, you know, if you're not expressing and your baby's crying and you feel like a failure as a fucking mother. And then these twats on the internet are going, oh, well, you are really, if you think about it, because you can't even fucking breastfeed, blah, blah. Fuck off. Just fuck off. I really, you know, I understand that given the choice, it's better to breastfeed. I understand that. But not everyone can. And that's fine. We have formula. It's not going to make your kid grow up to be a fucking Trump voter. Not necessarily. You know, there'll be a lot of other factors in that happening. Just make sure you got no lead in the pipes of the water coming into your house, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so this, it works for me, therefore it must work for everyone. Mentality is something that we need to point out. We need to say, stop doing that in the nicest, you know, friendliest possible way. You know, don't be a twat about it, but just explain to people we're all different. Every single relationship that we have with another human being, whether that's our partner, our parents, our kids, our neighbors, our colleagues, it doesn't matter. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique. Something that you might have enjoyed doing with your ex, you might not enjoy doing with your current partner. You don't know why. It's just, you know, so you used to like going to fucking museums with your ex. That's what I was thinking of. But you might not enjoy doing it with your new partner. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Don't feel bad about it. Everything. It's a lot of moving parts. And it all comes down, at the end of the day, to our own physicality. And yeah, some medicines will work for me. They won't work for others. And you can just, if you want a really good example of this, just take alcohol. Take alcohol, right? Don't take it neat, you'll die. But yeah, some people can drink like fucking 8 pints of lager and still, you know, be able to bloody recite all of HMS Pinafore. And that's amazing, well done. Other people, they have half a glass of baby sham and they're fucking anyone's, that's me. And it just depends. It just depends on you. It's the same product. Could you imagine someone saying, "Oh, you know, I wasn't feeling so good, but you know what I took? I took some alcohol." What? Yeah, I had a beer and then I felt all right. I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I like when I'm not feeling so good? I like a cup of tea. I do like a cup of tea. You know, Kat, my partner, she fucking hates tea. That'd be the worst thing ever for her. It's the same product. I was thinking about this about weed, right? So I know a lot of people that weed has helped, right? Let's let them chill out, maybe. And I know people who have taken medicine, THC, whatever it's called, for medical problems, and it's helped alleviate their medical condition, which is fantastic. But at the same time, I know people who have smoked a lot of weed and then gone on to have full-on psychosis of the level that needed hospitalization against their will. And this is why, because, no offense to people watching this, because I know that there might be a few Potter aficionados out there, right? Just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. And if you just change the word pot to vodka, okay? Do you know what really helps chill me out after a hard day at work? Vodka. Okay, cool. That's nice for you. Don't go around telling everybody else who's not having a great time of it, for whatever reason, to take vodka. You know, like, oh, mate, I'm gonna wax lyrical about the beneficial fucking medicine qualities of the medical qualities of vodka. Yeah, it's the best. It's just brilliant. Are you being paid by Smirnoff? No, I just love. Let me tell you how much I love vodka. And I think that pot might be unique in the world of narcotics, in the world of mind-altering substances, and yes, that does include alcohol, that has such um, a kind of like, and you know this because you've done it yourself, or you know people who've definitely done it, but it inspires such evangelism about that particular narcotic. You don't really see it. I mean, you might a little bit with cocaine with a certain group of people, right? Never taken cocaine. I've never smoked a spliff. It's not my scene. I don't like it. Don't like it when people do it. I feel very offended if I'm out on a night out. I'll just go home. If I see someone that I'm out with and they're snorting a line of fucking coke, I just go home. I'm like, sorry, am I not being entertaining enough? Oh, fuck off then. You know, go and entertain yourself by talking to a fucking stranger with 100 miles an hour for 17 hours straight. Have fun. But yeah, you don't really get people, you know, at a bus stop telling you how great crystal meth is and how wonderful their life has become since they started doing crystal meth. You don't tend to be stuck next to someone on a plane who waxes lyrical about the fact that they got a bit of a shit time, you know, in their life, and they turn to alcohol. And you know, I should turn to alcohol as well because they genuinely believe that it will make my life better. It's only pot that does that. And you know, we can argue all day about the benefits and the positives and benefits of pot. But one of the points I'm trying to make is it's different for everyone, and it's worth taking a step back and not being so evangelical about it. Especially when there's another person who's not having such a great time, and your gut instinct is to say, okay, well, I want to help. Which is right and normal, and that's what people do. People want to help, but then to say to someone who wasn't necessarily into pot, like, "Hey, you smoke this," and they smoke it, and then they like it, and they keep doing it, and then it eventually makes their underlying psychosis or their borderline personality disorder or whatever it is so much worse. And then you've done that. Maybe just leave the whole narcotics medicine side of things to doctors so they can feel guilty about the outcomes. At least they can be sued for malpractice. But yeah, it's something that I think we should all be aware of. And I like this idea of sometimes just taking a step back and imagining not the world as we perceive it, but having that empathetic leap to imagine the world as an outsider would see it. Not a human, but an absolute outsider. I don't mean necessarily a green alien, you know, dancing up and down with dealy boppers on there going bop bop. I'm talking about like just an outsider. Explain this. Explain why people get evangelical about weed, but not no other narcotic. Why that one? What is it about that particular one? Why is it that all the people in my life who I've ever met who are massive conspiracy theorists are also massive potheads? Why does that always go? And I mean, the Venn diagram is a circle. It is an absolute circle. I don't know. It alters your brain chemistry. Of course, it does. Any narcotic, any medicine, any drug does that. I just feel like, you know, it's worth bearing in mind. But yeah, I do that when I'm talking about stuff like rent and the idea that you're explaining to an outsider, explain it to an alien. It's easier. Just, okay, let's have the great green alien with the fucking dealy boppers. Explain to an alien rent. Go on, explain it. So you work, yeah, you get money for work, for your time on this planet. You get money for that, yeah, and then you give it to someone else to pay their mortgage, yeah. What happens if you can't afford it? Well, then the government step in and all the other taxpayers in the country all chip in for that person to pay off their mortgage. Oh, because it's a house they need. No, they don't even need the house. It's the second house, the third house, the fourth house. So just let me get this straight. So me and everybody else in this country, in the UK, sorry, is working, and some of that money that we pay in tax is going towards people to help pay off their second mortgage on a house that they don't live in and don't need. Yeah, it's a hell of an investment. It's a hell of a thing. Right, I'm going to look in the chat now. I'm going to get the chat up. I'm scared now. I'm going to shout at me. I was going to be like, Graham, fucking don't do this. On the same logic plane of, I can pay to Masterpiece, so can you. Yeah, L, absolutely. And I think this is quite telling in my attitude. And I'm not saying I'm right all the time. I'm definitely not. But my attitude is a lot more. Uh, I don't really care. Like when I'll tell an idea for a story. Like I'm writing a story at the moment called "Be the Stranger," which is based on my travels around the world. But there's a bit of twist to it. And I tell people the story, and they go, "Graham, why are you telling me this? I mean, what if someone steals your idea?" And I'm like, "Go on then, write a fucking book, write a screenplay." I've written books, I've written screenplays. It's fucking hard. It's really difficult. If anyone could do it, everyone would do it and do it to a really good standard. They can't. Anyone can pick up a paintbrush and buy themselves a canvas, bit of canvas. Do you know what I mean? It's some paints. Not anyone can fucking paint the bloody Mona Lisa. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone can paint fucking Guernica or fucking sunflowers. The idea that because we have these tools at our disposal, that everyone can do this. And I'm seeing this really, and I don't want to move the conversation to AI because I want to kind of keep it on sort of the interactions of human life and dating and how we conduct ourselves in public. But I just want to say, like the when people say, anyone can do it, anyone can do it. These CEOs who are like, well, I pulled myself up by the bootstraps. It was a small loan from my parents of £5 million, started up my own company, and now I'm doing really well. Thank you very much. I can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And it's something that rich people need to fucking stop saying because not everyone can. Not everyone can write fucking write a masterpiece or paint a masterpiece. Create a film that stands the test of time. Not everyone has the skills. Not everyone has the imagination to do that. And so yeah, I am a bit more like AI is slop. It is apps. It's just regurgitated human food. So we've made this gorgeous, sumptuous meal, right? It's beautiful. It's laid out on the table, silver cutlery and porcelain china plate. It's all it's just the right temperature as well. I often find whenever I'm at a big event, when you're getting catered, food's always fucking lukewarm in it. In it. Can we complain about this a bit more? When have you ever been to a fucking wedding when the food's been hot? Never. That's when. It's always lukewarm. And then they do that twatty thing where they serve everyone else on the fucking table, like 20 people on the fucking table, and they serve one person like 20 minutes after the first. And we do this thing as humans, and I'll go to my grave not understanding why. Why the fuck do we wait? Why do we wait for the last person to get their fucking food before we start eating our food? All we're doing is letting our food go cold while they get their sort of more warm food because that should come straight out of the fucking kitchen, right? Just start eating. Just start. If you're ever at the table with me and your food comes, fucking start eating. Jesus Christ! I think it's rude not to eat. I think it's rude to assume that other people shouldn't eat till you get your food because then you get the hot food and they get all the fucking cold food. Anyway, I don't know why I'm going off on what about fucking catering. But yeah, there is method in the madness. There is method. But yeah, I've completely lost my thread of fucking thought now. Talking about fucking weddings, and cold food. Mm. Oh yeah, AI. So imagine you're at a feast, you're at a banquet, and there's just this food from all over the world served up to you from Michelin star chefs, right? And there's like 17 Michelin star chefs all working on these little courses. It's like a taster menu, and you go through it, and like everything is just so intricately and amazingly put together. At least each dish is just heated to the right temperature. It looks amazing. It tastes incredible. That they've spent hours on each dish and making it absolutely perfect for you, right? And you sit there and you go through this 17-course meal. It's fucking amazing. Everything that you eat just delights your taste buds. It is just amazing, right? And then you stick your finger down your throat and you vomit it all up back onto your plate and look at it. And you go, everyone, look what I've got. Look what I've got on my plate. Look at all that vomit. And you're like, that's vomit on a plate. Yeah, but it was this amazing meal once. Yeah, but now it's fucking vomit. That's AI. That is AI. It is human fucking vomit. It's all the amazing stuff that humans have ever done, ever sussed out, ever created, all the great works of art, all the masterpieces, all the great works of fiction and movies and radio dramas human interaction and plays and all that stuff. All the scientific endeavor, scientific research. The people, in the 1700s, marched off to the equator to measure the size of the planet. The people going to the moon to take some space rocks to find out what the moon is made of. All this stuff. Right? It's all just been consumed, and then just been vomited back out. And people are walking around with this plate of vomit, and they're making me look at it and go, "Look at this, Graham! Look at this! Isn't this amazing?" And I'm like, "No, it's a plate of vomit, mate. It's fucking shite, and it'll always be shite because AI can never have a sense of context. Never, never, ever, ever, because it cannot have a human experience. It cannot have what we call a gut instinct, because we don't have a better term for it. It just can't. Right, I'm gonna go back in the chat. I'm gonna go in the chat. Weed is awesome, but I quit because money. I think I was spending about £250 a month on it. That was excluding backing him. It's like, God, mate, fucking hell. I don't think I earned that much. Well, I'm probably not going to earn that much this month. Plus, booze destroyed me more when I was growing up. Yeah. And so that's tainted your relationship with that particular narcotic. So yeah, weed makes me think God is talking to me through the television set. I can handle acid better. Witchy going live in 30 minutes. Oh, cool. Okay, well, I'll get going then, because I don't want to go over onto Witchy's stream. Enjoyed the talk for years. Had some great times using it, but stopped using it a while ago. It really screws some folks up. I've never pushed it on anyone. It's your choice. Yeah, I'm sure, mate, but there have been several times, especially when I was younger, where I'll be at a party and I'll be sitting down and someone will be passing around a joint, and the pastor the Dutchie on the left hand side, and I'll be like, "Oh, sorry, mate," and I wouldn't stand up and make a fucking speech about the ills of drugs. I think drugs should be legal. I genuinely do, all of them. And controlled substances, and only given to the people who have want them and need them, and that they don't need to go and buy it off a fucking dealer. So then I didn't wax lyrical about the danger of smoking. It would cause you heart disease and lung cancer. I just said, "No, that's right, mate." And the looks I would get, fucking narc. I mean, they didn't say that out loud, but you could see it in their eyes. Thought I was a police officer. And Gallifrey, I think explaining most of modern life to aliens would result in the smash alien laughter. That's a really good way of putting it, man. If you know, you know. There's a whole generation who have no idea what the smash alien laughter is about. We'd send your mind some interesting places. If not conspiracy theories, then you tend to think of film, TV, games, ideas as silly, funny stories. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know about that. I think people have told me that, but then a lot of people who then go into the creative arts, who are famous for smoking a lot of weed, they tend to make movies about smoking a lot of weed. Have you noticed that? There's a particular genre of movies that is about smoking weed, and the shit that happens when you smoke weed, and the people who make it are people who smoke weed. It's a very strange thing. Whereas, the people who've suffered from alcoholism, they're not going to make a movie where like alcoholism is great. No, they're going to make like Leaving Las Vegas with Nick Cage, which is fucking devastating. You know what I mean? Nicolas Cage. The conspiracy thing is not the case in my experience, says Ernie. Well, there you go. Experiences with different. Dark 4x4. If you immediately know the candlelight is fire, the meal was cooked long ago. Ooh, thanks very much. That's quite an interesting take on things. Thanks very much to Dark 4x4 for the £5 super chat. I'm curious, if someone spikes a drink in the bar, how does the person get the victim elsewhere when they're clearly out of it? It could be a broad answer. I go in safe places I know, and people know me. When people spike people's drinks, it's often someone who knows them. It's not usually a stranger. It's someone who knows them and can then take them home. Unfortunately, I mean, I would say unfortunately, it is just a grim reality of life. If someone means you harm in this life, it's unfortunately probably going to be someone you know, which is awful. I'm a regular weed smoker. I cannot stand conspiracy theories, says one angry pagan. It's not all conspiracy theories. It's like all weed speakers. Weed speakers. Hello, I'm a weed speaker. I'm a weed bender. I'm an air bender. Oh, cool. I'm a fire bender. Why do they use the word bender? I mean, I don't think it means the same thing in America, but in the UK, bender for anyone growing up in the 80s was just a pejorative word for homosexual. Are you a bender? I'm a bender too. I'm like, maybe you should have called it something else. Like just make up a nonsense word like Jedi. I'm a water Jedi. Oh, cool. I'm an air Jedi. Anyway, gone off on one. But yeah, just weed smokers and conspiracy theorists aren't one to one. But I just find that whenever I meet someone who's massively into conspiracy theories, they tend to be also a massive potter. That tends to happen. I've no evidence for it, but it's a fact. Um, I did acid a few times, TV and film, make it look a lot more interesting than it is. Um, not done it, mate. Not done any of them. Not done any of those fun things. Never took ecstasy, MDMA, angel dust, spice. It's another world that I've not ever partaken in. I've been around where other people have been partaking in it, and I often think like, I'm quite energetic. A bit too much for some people. A friend of mine once said I was like a woodpecker, sort of like this. Sometimes, someone else described me as, but talking to you is like being mind fucked by a USB stick. That was said to me once. I once actually, someone once punched me in the face. I don't get punched that often, but it does happen. Someone once punched me in the face because, in their words, it wasn't necessarily a man. In their words, I think it was something like, you know so much, and I was like, yes. Weirdest reason for being punched. I've also had a glass of wine thrown in my face once. That was for not responding well to homophobia in a group, and there's one person in the group who's deeply homophobic, and I'm not going to stand for that. And they ended up getting a glass of wine in my face. So free drink in it. Well, there you go. Because it tends to make you more docile, at least at first, meaning that you can be guided while walking. One of my female friends told me what it felt like, because I confused Graham Lol. If they go totally unconscious, you just leave them in the bar. Anyone see Morden's appearance at Last Leg last night? Whoops. No, I didn't. Old Penny Mordant. Remember Marco Pierre White gave back all his Michelin stars, lol. In my town, there was a fair amount of drug use. And for one crazy summer, everyone was dropping acid like Smarties any night of the week. For me, it was like Zombieland, crazy en masse. I feel free to use the super chat money to repair that island for my friend there. Oh, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Dark 4x4. That's very kind of you. Sorry. Still not quite over me cough. Yeah, it's repair and maintenance. It's a constant battle of repair and maintenance on an island. Yeah, you have certain jobs that you got to do daily. You've got certain jobs you got to do weekly. Certain jobs you got to do monthly. And if you miss a day, you miss a week, you miss a month. There are consequences. It can be uncomfortable turning down a joint. Yeah. I'm out of weed 4 weeks now. My head feels much clearer, to be honest. Yeah, good. Going back to weed, anyone else find that it messes with your mojo libido? Yeah. So in 1984, and also in the movie THX 1138, and I think maybe also in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. It's been quite a while since I read that, so I couldn't say for certain. I think that the one thing that all those three future dystopias have in common is that people are given drugs by the government that they have to take to keep them docile. Just have a think about that for a moment. I did all the drugs. It's time to change for me now. Yeah, Oliver, and that's fine. One thing also that pisses me off, right? While I'm just sort of on the high horse, right? A lot of people I know who took a lot of drugs when they were teenagers are now parents of, you're never going to guess, teenagers. And they're currently freaking the fuck out that their teenagers, their kids, their teenage kids, might do exactly what they did when they were their age. And this kind of annoys me. There's a couple of levels of this, right? I would say when you see some aging rocker who's like got clean and then says something like, oh, mate, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, after they're taking all the drugs. And you're like, why is it all right for you to suss that out on your own, but you think that everyone else should be stopped? So when people who are massive drug addicts or were in the past, right, who don't agree that drugs should be legal now because they don't do them anymore, they've moved on. They've moved on from that part of their life. And to me, that is, it's very frustrating. As somebody who's never taken drugs, it's very frustrating. With the possible exception of alcohol, because obviously alcohol is a drug. Snoop, Cheek and Chong, etc. Yeah. Do you have any collections, Graham? I started collecting Only Fools, Horses, Bobble Buddies. I'm terrible for collecting because I need the whole set. I'm the type of person that when they play GTA, I've got to do all little side quests and stuff to find all the Easter eggs. I've got to get 100%. I can't let it lie. Do you know what I mean? So when I was playing Pokemon Go, I was a little bit obsessive with it, and I had every single one that you could possibly get in the UK and abroad. I think there was only one at the time I stopped playing it. There was only one that was only available in Mexico that I hadn't managed to get my hands on. I hadn't swapped it with someone else. But if I had continued playing it for another month or so, I know there was someone who did have that particular mod. So I had all the different variations. I had like every single, and I'll go to some lengths to try and get hold of these things. And yeah, this is why I try not to play video games too much. It's why I try not to collect things because I know what I'm like. I need to have the set. It's no good having one or two. I need to have all of them. Very much a completist in that way. So for me, it's better not. It's better that I don't start in the first place when it comes to collections. Although I do have some like collections from like when I was younger. But if I ever had a Panini sticker album for Short Circuit or Back to the Future or whatever, I would always have to get every single sticker for it. I couldn't leave it with some stickers left. So yeah, I'd write off to Panini to get the last few stickers that I need, like a postal order. Do you remember postal orders? A postal order for like 75p to pay for these stickers. The 3 ones that I still need. Anyway, so which is fun. But yeah, so I try not to. Now I stopped playing Pokemon last year when it was bought by the Saudi government. Saudi government bought out Niantic. And I went, fuck this shit. And I just cold quit. I haven't gone back. Still miss it. There's a Pokestop here. You play Pokemon, go. There is a Pokestop here on the island on this boat dock. There is a Pokestop, which is really fucking cool if you're playing it, because then you can just sit here all day and play Pokemon on the island. Yeah, last time I came, I didn't play it because it's owned by the fucking Saudis. And sorry, not the fucking Saudis. I know some Saudis who are lovely. The Saudi government, the fucking tyrannical, despotic Saudi government that is responsible for the fact that all these COP meetings that we have every fucking year don't go anywhere and do anything. That's because of the fucking Saudis. They did that. They set it up to have to be a consensus of the different committee of parties each year to talk about climate change and to do nothing about it. They set it up that way. It had to be a consensus of votes. It would be all of the parties, all of the countries agreed, or none of them agreed. And obviously that was never going to happen. They knew it was never going to happen. It should have been a majority vote. Simple as that. In my town, joints where like ciggies, everyone smoked. Mind, I hung out in biker bars and music venues. Yeah, well, I had the same experience, mate. If someone I know did that, God help them when they come to. Love a good biker bar. Bikers tend to have good stories. They do. But then, how would you master all 4 elements, Jedi? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I just thought it was a weird word to use. Did no one tell them? I mean, when they started making Star Trek Enterprise, they were originally going to call the captain Jeffrey Archer, and someone said, no, the British disgraced politician who spent some time in jail. And they went, oh, okay, we'll change to Jonathan then. As a creative person, Dope Defo opened a lot of ideas in my mind. It really helped my music, though I know many players who couldn't play a note while stoned. Works for some people. Yeah, again, that's my whole point. If it works for you, my friends, go with God. You know, and my whole take on this is like, I think it should be legal. I think that people shouldn't necessarily be encouraged to try it. But if they do want to, I don't think that should make them a criminal. And I think there needs to be things in place to make sure that it's safe and that people aren't dying for people to get their weed. People aren't dying for people to get their cocaine. I hate that there's a trail of blood that, all the way from the mountains and of the 500 meters above sea level in the Himalaya and in the Andes in Bolivia. There's a line of blood all that way from Bolivia to Colombia, up through Mexico, to America, over to West Africa, the government of Guinea Conakry, which is a narco state. A lot of drugs are run through there because the government get a backhander. And then that trail of blood goes up through West Africa, goes through Europe, eventually goes up someone's nose in a club in Soho in the toilets. And I'm just like, that doesn't sit right with me. That really doesn't sit right with me. And I was telling you the story about the stone coins of Yap. What's it worth? Well, how many people died for us to get it here? That makes it worth more. I'm like, why did anyone have to die? What a ridiculous world. Take a step back, explain it to an alien. So you have this stuff that grows, yeah, and if you ingest it, you snort it or you smoke it, whatever, you feel good. It helps some people out with their mental health problems, yeah. So why can't you just get it if you need it? Because it's bad. Why is it bad? Oh, because some people have a really bad experience on it, and yeah, okay. And I used to take it when I was younger, but I don't anymore. So yeah, it should stay illegal forever. Okay, so you want to keep these drugs illegal because they ruin people's lives. Okay. Are we also going to make alcohol illegal because that ruins people's lives? No. Okay. We tried that, didn't work. What the Americans did. Just get made a load of criminals, loads more money. Oh, really? It made a load of criminals more money. Oh, it's good to know. So, are you saying that if we legalize drugs, the criminals will make less money? Interesting take on the situation. But yeah, no, we've got to keep them. We've got to keep drugs illegal because they ruin people's lives. What about falling in love with the wrong person? Can we make that illegal? I would wager that ruins more people's lives. Just saying. Can we make private school kids go into politics? Can we make that illegal? I'd argue that ruins more people's lives. My life took a very, very different trajectory because of Nigel Farage. How dare he do that to me? He doesn't even know that. And he did that to me. What a cunt. And all of his little fucking mealy mouth twat friends around him all went to private school. And the one thing that I'm never, ever, ever going to get over, and I'm never going to forgive the Brexiters for, or even the dickheads who voted for it, is that they took the people who told you to vote for Brexit, took those rights away from you, away from your children, but they did not take those same rights to live and work anywhere in the EU. They did not take those same rights away from themselves or from their children. Bastards. Ultimately, that is the shittest thing that anyone's ever done. So if you're going to say drugs should be illegal because they fuck up people's lives, well, there's a bunch of other stuff that fucks up people's lives, and I don't know how we're going to make them illegal, but good luck with that. I thought Graham would be an ayahuasca guy. No, never done ayahuasca. Well, I've done Bwiti. Okay, so there's an example. So Ibogaine, it's known in the West, but I was part of a. I was part of it. I joined a Bwiti tribe. It's Bwiti, Bwiti tribe in Gabon. I was there for like a week, and we went out into the forests and stuff. And they have this hallucinogenic uh, drug that they take called iboga, and I think it's known as ibogaine, something like that in the West, but they call it iboga, and it's part of their religious ceremonies, and it has been for centuries. In the same way that kava, in not the champagne, but kava, spelled with a K, in the Pacific Islands, it's very much part of their culture. You sit around and you drink the kava, which tastes like muddy water, but you get used to it. And it's a very mild narcotic. And so when I say I've never done any drugs, I would say I've never done any illegal drugs. And if they did get legalized, I'm not going to start taking them. And I've got friends who have not taken any drugs, and we all get a bit annoyed when people who have taken drugs tell us that they should remain illegal, even though they did it. I'm like, oh, so you going to do you want to go to prison? Should I ring up the police now and get you thrown in jail for, how many joints did you smoke as a youngster? Oh, okay, how about you spend a day in jail for each of those joints? All right, because you did break the law that you want to maintain as a law, right? But the one thing they'll say is like, oh, you just want to legalize it so you can do it yourself. And I'm like, what? What the? No, no, not at all. And the idea that more people will do it if it's legal, I think is wrong. Right? And I've got proof for you. Have a look at the stats for heroin use in Switzerland. So a good 25 years ago or so, I mean 30 years, it was a while ago. Heroin was the attitudes, the way that the state dealt with heroin addicts changed in Switzerland. So you could actually get heroin from the state, um, and it wouldn't be cut with anything else. You couldn't possibly overdose on it because it didn't give you a dose that was too high. One of the big problems with heroin, why so many people overdose on it, is because you'll get you get some heroin from your dealer, and it'll be cut with all kinds of stuff, and it will be really weak. There won't be much heroin in it, and so you inject more, and then you open up the second batch or whatever, and that's been cut entirely differently, and there's a lot more heroin in that one, but you don't know. So you think, well, I had to take more of the first batch, so I'll take more of the second batch, and that's when you overdose, because you don't know the quantity of the actual active ingredient, if you like, in the heroin. So what they did in Switzerland many years ago, a couple of decades ago now, it's longer, 3 decades ago, they changed the system so that you could get heroin off the state. And so what two things came from that. The average age of of heroin users just skyrocketed. The average age used to be like 20, and it went up to like 40 almost overnight. And the reason for that was like older uh, users were not dying from overdoses, but also the younger generation wasn't coming on board with it anymore, because this was around the time of the whole Kate Moss, Pete Doherty, heroin chic bullshit of the late 90s, where people were like, oh my God, it's so cool to be on heroin, is that a cool drug? And there was none of that, because all the school kids saw on the bus on the way to school outside the clinic were these sketchy sort of older people swapping their arms and being a bit jittery, waiting for their pills, injections, whatever. I think it just reminded a lot of kids, seeing a nursing home when the residents in the nursing home have to queue up for their pills in the morning. I think they looked at it and just went, that's sad. There's nothing sexy about it. It took away the whole sexiness of the endeavor. It just turned it into a medicine that people had to take for whatever reason. There's nothing sexy about most medicines. It's not like, hey man, I was on the ibuprofen last night. Do you know what I mean? So that was interesting. So yeah, I do genuinely get a bit aggravated when people who have taken a lot of drugs in their life, or even continue to take drugs, uh, say that it should be illegal. And the only reason why I think that it should be legal is because when it is legalized, I'll be taking all the drugs. I won't be, dear reader. I honestly, I've had the opportunity. I would not. But yeah, ecstasy, Andy, is an odd one. Constantly feel like you need to take a dump, but actually don't have to. Yeah, sounds like fun. I just back from Marbella yesterday. That's cool. This is from I can't actually see the screen, isn't bright enough. I need to also check my battery life. What I've got 42. Um, I need to turn my brightness up. Oh, that's much better. I can read you in fucking names. I was squinting. squinting at the screen. Um, I did. I said a few times. I've read that one. Moving on. Mordant. Oh god, I went back a load. Uh, any collections? Than that one. Bristol used to be the cocaine capital. Cocaine capital was that of Europe? The coke capital of Europe. Bristol. Um, I always thought that. I always considered uh, cocaine as sort of like the posh person's drug. It was always like the rich kids, wasn't it, who did the cocaine? It was the kids who probably got a bit too much money, more money than sense, some might say. Why can't I get this level? It just doesn't look level. Nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. Do you know what? That's probably better because then I'm not looking at the fact that it's not level. I get really pernickety. I get really pernickety when I'm doing this. I think one of the big misconceptions about weed is the munchies. Most people do it that regularly. Don't seem to get them. When you first start, you do. After a while, it goes. Says Tommy. It's a great movie. THX 138. Yeah. I'm just going to repeat. Ian Huntley is gone after attack in prison. Yep. We mentioned that at the start. That's what took us down this whole rabbit hole where we ended up now. It started off talking about Ian Huntley and the fact he shouldn't have been allowed to get a job in a school when he'd already had accusations leveled against him when he was working other places with vulnerable people. ADHD meds, caffeine, etc. Graham, yeah, yes, caffeine's a narcotic as well. And nobody to criticize people taking drugs because some people take them because they're deeper in emotional pain, like I did for years. Yeah, Oliver, this is the thing. I'm not criticizing people taking drugs. I'll criticize people being a little too evangelistic about their drugs of choice, which because it worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone else. Because you enjoy it doesn't mean anyone else is going to enjoy it. It's like bum sex or something. But the idea that we could all we could all be fixed using one weird trick. It's nonsense. It's why the self-help industry just pisses me off because great, tell me what worked for you. Might not work for me. Um, the ADHD medication you're on, sure, it has amphetamines in. You seem to talk and deviate a lot more. Drugs are not always good for you. You do seem to talk and deviate a lot more, says Andrew. Since I started taking the ADHD medication or before, I mean, I don't think there was ever a point where I was sort of quite good for A, staying on target, and B, not talking too much. There's two things that I've never sort of managed to do. Odd thing is, I don't do rec drugs at all now, but my docs have put me on oxycodone for acute pain for a bike accident years ago. So I'm doing class A drugs on a daily basis. Go figure. Well, yeah, I mean that's it. So when I say narcotics, I kind of want to make a distinction because obviously all drugs are medicines, but all medicines are drugs, but all drugs are medicines. I just say the stuff that's illegal. The stuff that's illegal, because I do have a problem with the whole back end of it. Like I say, the trail of blood thing. I mean, a lot of conflicts in the world, especially in the 20th century, were fueled by money coming in from drugs. If you look at what's happening in Mexico at the moment, it's horrific, and that all the money for that has come from rich white people who've bought some drugs and that'll come through Mexico. Um, not all of it, but most of it. I stopped my prescription meds due to side effects, but now I just vape my bud and have a normal life. Uh, I get you, man. Just out of curiosity, what's the biggest munch you had? I think mine was a 16-inch pizza. Can I tell you about my pizza that I had last night? Bought a pizza for myself after the show yesterday, right? And I, uh, I got a seafood pizza. It's very hard to get a good seafood pizza in the UK. It's usually if you get one from like the local students' pizza place. It's usually just a few pieces of tuna and some anchovies. And but no, this was fucking amazing. This was a pizza. It had garlic mussels on, full mussels. It had clams. It had um pulpo. It had octopus on it. Oh god, it was so good. It was so good, so good. I'm tempted to just go back today, just get another pizza, but I know I shouldn't. Um, there was Danish streets called Spunk, so Bender isn't that bad. Oh, George, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I'm noticing that many people who are avid PC gamers tend to be misinformed, but with profound or borderline racial outlooks. People who are avid PC gamers tend to be misinformed. Well, a lot of PC gamers are probably teenagers. You know what I mean? Probably why. Quick, ask the teenager while they know everything. Um, but yeah, it would be good to get a bit more information. We've talked about this. What's the biggest problem facing the world right now, apart from the lack of empathy, the lack of respect, and the lack of, humility? Well, let's just say it. It's the fucking fact that it's fucking easy to lie. You can lie all you like. From the top of the fucking Chrysler Tower. Scream it from the rooftops, and it'll get around the world. The truth is behind the paywall. Just saying. Yeah, ban the beer. The thing is, you can grow your own, which makes it non-taxable. Whereas alcohol is taxable. Yeah, and I think people should. I think people should. Although that's something else that annoys me. Like, we talk about energy usage of AI and crypto and stuff that uses loads of energy for no good reason. Growing weed at the moment in the UK, people have to do it secretly, so it's all done under UV, artificial light. You know, I don't think that's a good thing. You come and set up. Can you set a raid on Richie Goth? She goes live at 3 p.m. If you can't, I can't. Not on this one. This is because I'm doing it from my phone. I'm gonna get going now because I think Richie Goth has started. I think. If you want to go and watch Richie Goth, I suggest you go and do that. It'll be fun. And oh my god, there's so many fucking comments. No, narcotics are addictive, but the most addictive thing on the planet on Earth has got to be money. Yeah, people get addicted to money. People get addicted to gambling. There's no chemicals in gambling. There's nothing intrinsic about, you know. But I guess that the effect on the brain of gambling, of money, of doing cocaine, doing heroin, smoking weed, is akin to falling in love. Your brain chemicals, it's going woo, 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 in your brain. It's making you feel good, and then it creates a feedback loop. That made me feel good. I'll do more of that. Then you feel bad. You're like, oh, why do I feel bad? It's because I haven't done more of that. So that made me feel good. And you do more of it, and then you fall into an addictive cycle. And this is why a lot of psychologists believe that addiction is very similar in your brain chemistry, or the way your brain operates. A very similar response to falling in love. I genuinely think there are people out there who are madly, sickeningly, horrifically in love with Donald Trump. And that's why they won't listen to reason. I think there are people out there who are in love with Brexit, or were in love with Brexit. Now everyone's denying it, aren't they? I never liked it. I always knew it was shit, say people who voted for it. Yeah, it would have been great, but it wasn't done properly. Yeah, it wasn't done properly. Just like all those libertarian utopias they keep trying to build that fall apart in a week because everyone tries to fucking kill and eat each other. Funny that. Hey, should we get all the selfish arseholes in the world, put them together in a village? Yeah, go on. See how you get on. Ego is the ultimate addiction vector. It all stems from that. Do you think? Maybe. I'll have to have a think about that. I'm going to go away and consider what you've written. Is it about ego? Ego drives us to do some pretty fucking stupid things. But also it drives us to create amazing things. There was a point where Michelangelo was painting the Sistine Chapel and thought, maybe I'm not the right person for this. The Pope said, well, why have you stopped painting, Michelangelo? I said, oh, I've just got imposter syndrome. I think someone else might do a better job than me. Obviously, that didn't happen. Yeah. And maybe on the flip side of it, if you have no ego, sort of the death of ego is the thing that you allow other people to do your thinking for you, which is something, an ailment that afflicts vast numbers of humans all over the world, but particularly in America right now. But yeah, I was talking with my mate yesterday, who's American, over on the mainland there, like the main island. I was talking to her about. I asked him the question, which you just gone to war with Iran. I want to ask you a question: which country hates Americans the most out of all the countries in the world? And he went, "It's America, isn't it?" And I went, "Yep, it's America. The country that hates Americans the most is America." Incredible, absolutely incredible scenes. More people in America think that over 50%, more over 50% of um, Americans think that the Americans are evil, are, are bad people. Their fellow Americans are bad people. Crazy. Dopamine is addictive. Yes, it is. Dopamine. That's the thing with ADHD, isn't it? You're not getting enough dopamine. You're not getting enough dopamine. Um, but yeah, and that's why crosswords can be addictive. Jigsaws can be addictive. Honestly, anything that makes people feel good can be addictive. And so we live in a world where certain things that you can become addicted to are prescribed, but other things aren't. And it's like, well, can we stop prescribing these things that people get addicted to and use the money, the £2 billion a week that we spend effectively fighting the war on drugs? Because that's got to cover all the police time, people themselves, the criminal damage, the cost of the taxpayer, the people, moving money about and money laundering and stuff like that. Also, the cost of keeping people in jail and feeding them and keeping them warm in the winter, all that stuff. £2 billion a week. War on drugs is costing us, and it has done for years. For years. If you legalize drugs, you could release what was it, a third of the prison population, a third of the prison population who are in for non-violent drugs offences. That is an obvious win for me. There's a catamaran going past. Do you want to see my catamaran? It's not mine, someone else's. But there is a cat. Hello, cat. I'm going to pick this up. Oh. Oh, I'm trying to bring up my. Stop it. Stop. It's on this thing now where it's not fucking focusing on focus. There you go. They're having a party on there, playing music. Yeah. Do you know what? The autofocus on my camera is not liking looking out to sea. But I've been a traveller like Graham, I consider my civic duty to try all the drugs. That's plastic. Well, I mean, I have a philosophy of when I'm, with people, as a traveller, as someone outside my country. Generally speaking, if they're taking part in a part, in a ritual or a rite or you know a thing, and they invite me along to it, I go along with it. I go along with it. I got to see a new chief being installed in a tribe in Fiji. I stayed with a couple of tribes in Papua New Guinea. I stayed with the BREW tribe for a week in Gabon. And yeah, when I was traveling around the Pacific Oceans, the ocean, there's only one. If people were doing carver, I would partake. I would be like, okay, well, this is their religious thing. No, I don't think that if I was in Jamaica and I was hanging out with a bunch of Rastafarians and they passed the Dutchie on the left hand side, I don't think I'd partake in it. I don't like smoke. I don't like smoke in my mouth. I don't like it in my lungs. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like the smell of weed. So I don't think I'd partake in that. But generally speaking, my rule when I'm traveling is if someone makes you food or someone offers you something, especially in a developed nation, unless it's going to fucking kill you, you just go, yeah, okay, and you have it. I've got friends who are vegetarians, except when they travel to certain countries, because they think, quite rightly, that it's a bit wrong for you to just turn around and say, well, I know that you struggle to get food on the table each day, but I'm from a rich country and I get to choose what I eat, and I'm not eating that. Um, yeah, I don't think that being a fussy eater and sort of the tr travel to far-flung destinations. I'm not talking about going to Disneyland or something, but travel to far-flung destinations. I don't think they are entirely compatible. Um, when I say fussy eater, I'm not having a pop at people who have, obviously got eating disorders, or they can't process gluten or something. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who decide that they're not going to eat a certain type of food. Um, but yeah, I generally try to partake in that kind of stuff. And a lot of cultures have made narcotics, however you want to cut it, drugs, part of their religion. Think about Christianity, Jesus. When you go for Holy Communion, you have wine. Um, in Judaism, when you're celebrating Pesach, Passover, you have wine. You eat lamb. I guess I don't know what you do if you're vegetarian, but yeah, that's the tradition. Um, if you are obviously you got the Rastafarians in Jamaica, but if yeah, you're part of the culture in Polynesian Islands. One thing that's like a bit of social glue over there is passing around the Carver cup. That's usually a half coconut. Sometimes it's just a Coke can that's been cut in half, and drinking the Carver. I drank Carver with the Prime Minister of Tuvalu, Willie Savali. That's when that happened. God, that's weird to think back on now. Got to go now. Light and peace, everyone. Cheers, Ernie. I think I'm going to go. When I go to rituals, personal, not community thing. And plus, I get legally carry me sword when I go to rituals. I set out in UK law, so long as it's bound up and wrapped. Oh, wow, cool. Okay. Do you ever get the urge like to take it out and hold it up and go, I have no power? Just me. Okay. By the power of Grayskull. I get quite the interesting sword, particularly katanas and other Japanese swords. I find it hard to turn down anything that's free, says Tommy. Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too in general. I just don't think that, you know, I understand that certain things are harmful or can be harmful. But I think that if we are going to treat sane adults as sane adults, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, whatever you do with your own body, you know, as long as it's not hurting anybody else, deeply distressing somebody else. And I'm not talking about, these weirdos in America who want to go into your bedroom and tell you you're doing it wrong. I'm talking about, in a day-to-day thing. Two people are in love, two adults are in love, and they want to get married. What the fuck has it got to do with anyone else? What the fuck has it got to do with me or you or anyone? If someone wants to take drugs, that's fine with me. If someone wants to get tattoos, it's fine. I'm not going to make a law against getting tattoos. I don't have any. It's fine. You know, I don't want one at the moment. Maybe one day I'll wake up and I'll want one. I like the choice, thank you. But what you'll notice time and time again, it's always the same people. They want to take the choice away from you. They want to take that choice, that opportunity away from you, but they will not take it away from themselves. And rich people, if they want drugs, they can fucking get them. The finest drugs in Christendom. The rest of us, yeah. So, on that note, thank you for joining me this morning. There was no particular overriding agenda this morning or like the thing that I wanted to talk about. And thank you for joining me on my meandering musings. And obviously, there's a bit of a 61 wave conversation there going on, which was really nice. Nice to have your points of view put across. If you want to join me on the next one of these, it'll be Same time tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning for me. It'll be 1 o'clock GMT for you lot in the UK. Obviously, 2 o'clock Central European time. If you're in New York, you're in the same time zone as me. So 8 o'clock in the morning. Great. Nice to have you on board. If you would like to join me later today, we're going to be doing more stuff in the house. We got the wood yesterday to put down. If you joined me yesterday when I was taking out the tiles, apparently I annoyed someone in the comments who said it was really annoying me. You picked up one tile at a time. The reason I did that is because there were some tiles that were entire tiles that weren't broken into bits, and I wanted just to get them in a separate pile for the ones that broke apart. So I had two piles by the camera, and one of them was for the single ones, and one of them was for the broken ones. I was trying to make two piles. It made sense to me at the time, but I think that person was a bit annoyed that I just stacked like three on top of each other, four on top of each other, and then I probably could have done in hindsight. Anyway, the tiles are all up now, and later today we're going to be cutting the wood and putting the wood down. Probably going to put my camera out on the balcony at the front of the house, at the back of the house, sorry, for you to watch. If you want to join us in that, it might be really boring, but you can still join us and watch while we do that. And then this evening, I'll be coming back down here to the boat dock. If it's not raining, if it's raining, I'll be in the house. And yeah, we'll have a little bit of a Saturday night, you know, Saturday night musings, I think, from Jinja Island. If you'd like to join me, you'll be very welcome to do so. I'm going to try and stream as much as I can. I've got unlimited internet on my phone, not on my laptop. So yeah, make the most of it. So in the meantime, I'll leave you with the wonderful sight of looking out over the sea. And until next time, I'll say thank you very much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Focus. There's a boat out there.